welcome to Rootz Remedies, a podcast where we explore how to return to our roots in order to become the best version of ourselves. My name is Latasha, and I am honored to be your orator and guide in this sacred healing space. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the importance of resting the mind. Why? Because when you are in control of your mind, nothing can control you. But before we jump into the root of the episode, first, a moment of breath. Wherever you are, get comfortable and settle into right now. As we breathe, inhaling deeply into our bellies, exhaling, letting it all go. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Continue breathing at your own pace as you listen to the sound of my voice. This is for the person that exists, the one who I may never have the honor of meeting, but who somehow hears these words. The one in need of a reminder to pause. Your mind is a sacred space that deserves a moment of rest. May you be reminded that peace allows you to show up in the world better. It allows you to stand up a little bit taller. So as you hear these words, I hope that the day you give yourself a moment to pause, you allow your mind to have a bit of peace and rest. Allow your mind to be at ease as you breathe. And remember that you have all the nourishing within you that you need. So as you continue to breathe, slowly come back to this moment. Continue to breathe as you take in today's affirmation, which is, as I quiet my mind, I rest in my power. As I quiet my mind, I rest in my power. Take one more deep cleansing inhale. Exhale, release. Thank you for joining me for that breath. And let's get right into it. Today we are going to be talking about resting the mind and the importance and power of resting the mind. This is the first episode in a 5-part series known as Take Your Power Back. And if you would like to explore the other tools that we cover in this podcast on how to take your power back, I encourage you to look at the other videos in the series and also read the blog posts that are corresponding with these episodes. Both the episode titles and the blog posts will be linked down into each video. So I invite you to check those out if you would like to dive into this topic and conversation more. However, for today, why is it important to rest the mind? One thing that comes to mind often when I think about this topic and the importance of resting the mind is I think about how many distractions we come across every single day. Living in today's world where everything is so fast-paced and microwavable, for lack of better terms, everything is instant, quick, it's very fast, it's go, 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 it's scroll, 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 and we are constantly distracted. There are constantly things reaching for our attention and our time. And that can lead us to being overstimulated, overwhelmed, overexhausted, just over everything, which can lead to burnout. And for those of you who know, we here at Rootz Remedies, we are all about healing from and preventing burnout. So how do we do this? How do we rest our mind, especially in a world where the distractions won't stop? They're only going to be more and louder. How do we take intentional time to pause? It's simpler than we allow ourselves to believe. Something as simple as stopping, being still, taking intentional pause to stop, to breathe, which is one of the reasons why I start these podcast episodes with a moment of breath, because oftentimes we are going, and we don't pause long enough to breathe. When we take a moment to just be still, to not do anything, to just breathe and feel our surroundings, to feel ourselves, to feel our bodies, to experience, that gives our mind enough time to slow down and catch up with all the things that we're throwing at it constantly throughout the day. And for some of us, the word meditation resonates and feels in alignment. For some of us, the word meditation doesn't really feel in alignment. And that's okay. It doesn't matter the words that we give these things. What matters is the actions. So if your word is meditation, go meditate. If your preferred language is prayer, go pray. Whatever the language is matters less than what the action is. So the action at the end of the day is stillness and calm. So inviting stillness in is important because it allows our brain and our mind to take breaks. With things constantly coming at us and our minds constantly thinking about the next thing and this thing, resting our mind can simply be just giving ourselves a mental break. For 5 minutes, I'm not going to think about anything. For the next 5 minutes, I'm not going to scroll through my phone. For the next 3 seconds, I'm going to breathe. Okay? It can be that simple. It can be something that we start small, incrementally small, and as these things keep building, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that is the key difference. That is what is important. It is the consistency of showing up repeatedly, not about the size of the action. And actually, I would caution starting actions that are too big when you're trying to rest the mind. Because when we are trying to rest, we're trying to decompress, not add more. So I would suggest, what is the smallest possible action? What is the smallest thing you can do to bring some calm into your mental space? So what are some things you can do? Instead of saying, oh, well, I'm going to stop scrolling altogether, how about I'm going to scroll for X amount of minutes, and for the rest of the time, I'm going to read a book. Or I'm going to scroll or watch videos for this amount of time, and the rest of the time, I'm going to go learn something new. Or I'm going to do this for a certain amount of time, and then I'm going to go sit by myself and breathe for a few minutes. There are all these different types of ways that we can invite in rest and stillness into our days and into our mental space that can really do a lot more good than we may think. So I suggest give it a try. Take a moment to just go outside and put your feet in the grass. Take a moment to just breathe intentionally. And it doesn't have to be for 5 hours, for just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Set a timer for 2 minutes and just allow that time, that space to just be. Another way that you can also find support in resting your mind is leaning into and getting cozied with some of our herbal allies. And today, the herbal ally that we will be highlighting and talking about is ginkgo biloba. The information shared here is for educational purposes only and is not meant as medical advice. Herbs affect everyone differently, so listen to your body, do your own research, and use discernment. So ginkgo, myself personally, I really enjoy ginkgo. There's actually a ginkgo tree on one of my favorite paths that I enjoy walking, and I always love seeing the leaves there and as they hold and caress me, and I love it. I love it a lot. And these leaves are very potent. And in my experience, they come in a few different forms. You can get them in capsules, or you can also get them in powder. So I have two different forms here with us today to show you. And there's so many different brands. You can get which brand works for you if you prefer tablet form. For those of you who are like, I don't really like taking tablets, I don't really like that form, listen, I'm right there with you. My preferred preference and how I use ginkgo is actually a powder. So you can get ginkgo powder in your local health stores, or if you happen to come into contact with the leaves themselves and know for sure that it is ginkgo, you can dry them, hang them up, dry them, and crush the leaves and turn it into a powder. And how I use this, I like to sprinkle it in my smoothies. You can sprinkle it on top of salads. You can also just take some and stir it into your water and drink your water. One of the reasons that ginkgo is a great herbal ally in supporting with resting the mind, it's because it's an antioxidant and it helps improve circulation and reduce inflammation that helps protect cells. So what does this mean as far as our actual lived experiences? So it has the potential to enhance blood flow to the brain. When we are getting more blood to our brain, that means our brain is receiving more oxygen. When our brain has more oxygen, that means it has more space to relax and be and literally breathe. Our brain has more space to breathe. Ginkgo is also a helpful support as it can potentially help improve memory. So all those things where we're feeling kind of foggy and starting to forget things, ginkgo is very helpful in kind of mediating some of that and helping support that journey to improve our memory, our thinking, and our concentration. So again, when we are in a world that is constantly grabbing our attention and constantly wanting us to be distracted, our concentration is deeply affected. So if we have herbal support with things like ginkgo, we are strengthening our arsenal and having more soldiers behind us to help offset the effects of that. Ginkgo is also linked to studies that help reduce anxiety and depression. So again, if our mind is overwhelmed or overstimulated, or so much is going on, we can start to feel a bit anxious. So knowing that we have herbal allies out there that can support us on this journey may be helpful. I would like to say as a reminder that this is not intended to be medical or herbal advice. This is just general knowledge that I hope you will be able to use and do your own research to see if it is something that will be of benefit to you. If you would like to work one-on-one with me as your herbalist, you can find the information on how to do that and how to connect with me in that way in the description. Now we know ways that we can support our minds beyond just saying rest. Now we understand that why we need to rest is because we are constantly distracted by all these things. There's a lot going on that is attempting to steal our time, our focus, our attention, and our energy. And when we allow our minds a moment of rest, we give ourselves back the opportunity to stand in our power. And the way in which that we can do that is through being still. Some of us may call that meditation. Some of us may call that prayer. Some of us may call it chilling, vibing, whatever your words and language is for it. Taking a break, taking a mental break is the point. And now we also know that there are herbal allies out there like ginkgo biloba that we can lean on for support. And I just want to remind everyone listening how deeply impactful this work is. It may not feel like it all the time, especially when our mind is full of racing thoughts that are going from this thing to that topic to this topic. However, I would like to remind us that when we make a conscious effort to slow down, we can completely change so many things about the way in which our mind is functioning, allowing our minds to have a moment to breathe pause, reflect, and destimulate is more important than we may think. So I hope that you take these words and explore ways that you can relax and you can give your mind space and time to breathe and recalibrate before jumping on to the next thing. So before we close out today, I would just like to remind us of today's affirmation, which is, as I quiet my mind, I rest in my power. As I quiet my mind, I rest in my power. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope to see you next time. Until then, may you go in peace, flow in love, and enjoy creating the world that you wish to thrive in.